All right, so we'll now move on to the next stage in our program. We're going to have presentations from two of our successful applicants. It's Dr. Eugene Brandon from Novocell and Dr. Mark Unger from Fluidigm, and I'd like to give a special thanks to both of them, express our appreciation for making the effort to come and participate today. Hopefully they will be able to provide you some insights into the processes and the strategies that they use in order to put together successful applications. So the first speaker is Eugene Brandon. Dr. Brandon is the Product Development Manager at Novocell.
Thank you. I want to thank CIRM for inviting me to participate in this webinar today. Over the years I've been involved in grant writing, grant reviewing, various other documents, and through the course of this I have developed opinions and thoughts on the process, and today I'd like to impart maybe one or two useful thoughts on how I feel applications are best put together. At the bottom of this, I mentioned that I have training in graphic arts and project management. I think both of those are pertinent to the process as well, and maybe you'll see that in the presentation. So when CIRM invited me to present this, they had 4 topics that they wanted me to speak on, and so I'm just going to go through these topics and opine. So how we chose the project to submit. Now obviously in some cases it's obvious. You have one project that you want to submit. However, in our case, at least in one of the RFAs, we were debating between different projects, and what I would encourage is to actually go ahead and start to outline each of your ideas and see where it takes you. How persuasive are your preliminary data for each of the ideas, and how realistic are, say, your contingency plans if the primary line of research doesn't work out. Reading the RFA is critical. Make sure that your project that you're proposing addresses the RFA, and I'm going to say this again and again. You obviously want attainable, realistic goals, and bring your ideas to the entire team and have various other people in your group opine on whether they think that this or that idea is going to fly. And lastly, put yourself in the shoes of the reviewer. What's the reviewer going to pick on when they read your application? And you can think about this, but actually doing it, I think, is a worthwhile exercise. Who to include in the project? Well, maybe it's obvious, but your scientists and your personnel need to be sufficiently qualified to execute the work. And I know this is a point that grant applications can be criticized on. You need to bring your legal people and your financial people into the process early, because they need to know what you're planning and they can help you prepare your budget and your plan for intellectual property, for example. CIRM has, at least for the last few RFAs, had international collaborative partners. I think that is worthwhile to entertain. You may need to identify someone in the international collaborative partner that can help you out. But this is a piece of the program that can bring additional value to the project with little or no cost to you, really. Identifying subcontractors. If you have quotes from subcontractors for pieces of your program beforehand, you can put those into your budget. And obviously CIRM would like California subcontractors. That will help you with your budget. As Dr. Olson mentioned at the beginning, out-of-state contractors are capped at $15,000 and $25,000. How to write and target the application. So here's the project management piece, which is, I think it's worthwhile to plan it out before you even touch the pen to the paper. Go ahead and assess for yourself, what is the workload going to be? What's the timing going to be? And inevitably, it will take longer than you anticipate. Sketch out a rough outline. This is the art piece of this. Imagine a sculpture or a painting. You want to get all the pieces in the right proportions and in the right places before you start to fill in the text of the application. Delegating responsibility, obviously, if you can distribute pieces to different people in your group, that's going to take the workload off of you. But if you do this, you need to be careful about it. If you choose someone who's, say, very busy, inevitably they'll get you their piece at the last minute. It won't be as well written as you had hoped, so you're going to end up having to do more work at the end. So you need to be careful in how you delegate. Again, go back to the RFA. I think it's even fair to take language directly out of the RFA. The bottleneck that this application is addressing is. That's useful. Be aware that the CIRM paradigm is different from the NIH paradigm. I think most people are aware that NIH generally gives out the money, and then they check in at the end. You send a report. CIRM is going to be more actively involved. They want more accountability. They want your deliverables to actually match what you described in the application. And if you're going to make a change, they have a change request form. Use your draft material from your colleagues as raw material. You need to rewrite it and make sure that it's consistent with the rest of the application. And make sure that your caveats and concerns are realistic. Think through what you really would do if those don't pan out. So in my humble opinion, what elements contribute to the application's success? Well, number one, it needs to address the RFA. I'm of the opinion that keeping your application simple and pleasurable to read is going to benefit the application. A reviewer has a pile of applications they have to go through. And inevitably, it's not their top priority on their day-to-day tasks that they're going to do. So if they see an application that's packed to every square inch with text and tiny little figures that they can't figure out, that's going to be frustrating. Make it simple. Make it easy. What a pleasure it must be to see a page that actually has some white space on it. Obviously, you have to have the promising preliminary data and the skill sets. And if you have that and all that's missing is the funding, then the project is probably going to be funded. And obviously, your budget needs to match the project. I don't think I'm going to go into this. This is really just some logistics that I've come to appreciate over the years. You could probably go back to the file later and look at this. It's pretty small print. But, for example, figures. I've found that making the figure in PowerPoint, even putting the legend in PowerPoint, and then copying it, pasting it in as a paste special picture, that's a specific point, but that makes things easier in terms of preparing the application. EndNote may or may not be useful. And in terms of the submission, just read the rules, read the instructions again, and make it all easy for the administrators. Label the pieces of the application very clearly. So just to sum up my view of what can make for a successful application, you have to make the time to do it right. It's easy to let things slip. You have to really force yourself to make the time. Follow the RFA and instructions closely, and be aware that the CIRM paradigm is different from what we've experienced from NIH. Keep your concepts simple and the application pleasant and even enjoyable to read. And I think anyone who's been doing this realizes that the review process can be capricious. Any given application may or may not get the right reviewer on the right day, or maybe someone has some preconceived notions. That's just part of life, and you continue to submit, and with persistence in this, you will be successful.